Deputy Organizing Secretary ODM, and for the very first time on this panel, Cynthia Mutere, Governance Practitioner, Chair of the Women's League in Fort Kenya, and also an aspirant for the Women Representative position for Busia County.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, so we have all aspirants, female aspirants here, and it's very exciting to have you, because we have a headline where today on page 10 of the Daily Nation that talks about larger numbers of females seeking elected seats come next year. Yes. We'll be discussing that in a short while. Let's start with what is headlining on the front pages of the dailies. Opposition leaders flaunt unity at Wiper NGC. Now, for the very first time, we're seeing those four leaders. Conspicuously missing is Moses Wetangula from Fort Kenya, but he was represented there by Boni Halwale. But for the very first time, we're seeing Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka, Raila Odinga on the same platform, because there had been talk that with the entry of Musalia Mudavadi, there were jitters, anxiety from the Wiper leaders' part, that he wasn't very comfortable with that. But now, that is not what you're seeing here. Quick thoughts on that?
First and foremost, the party leader of Ford Kenya, Honorable Senator Moses Masika Wetangula, is in Australia. He went for his son's graduation, so he should be coming in very soon. So he did send his deputy, the party leader, Senator Halwale, to the function yesterday. What we're seeing, I think, is a winning formula for the opposition to come together. I mean, twice before, when opposition has come together in the country, that has been the winning formula. We saw it to bring in the NAC government. We saw it at the referendum of 2005. And so when the opposition does come together, I think that's a good way to go.
Okay, Rosa, so you agree?
Yes, I agree. I'm laughing because the last time...
You don't look so confident.
No, I'm confident. But the last few times, we've been discussing the issue about opposition being in disarray, etc., etc. And I was always adamant that it's a case of opposition taking control of its agenda and working on its own timelines. And nobody outside the opposition should actually try to take control of those timelines. So what you're seeing is just the agenda and timelines of opposition unfolding.
Yes, Senator, they seem to be proving you wrong. By now, you are, if your prediction was right, by now they would be heading different directions.
Well, I wish them well, and I give them to February, and we will come back on this table, and then they will tell us their leader.
Yeah.
I think the best thing is a good competition, a competition of respect, a competition of issues. Yes, but not polarization, not ICC, as I see, because you want to just bring us back to what we have just moved on out. Don't bring it back, because it might be a bad opportunity to the other side. Don't bring that issue back.
But to be fair to them, it is the president who introduced that ICC.
Well, the president should not be, he did not introduce it to be an issue of a campaign. The opposition should look for the issues that they want to do for Kenyans, deal with that.
Yes.
You bring this back as an issue, you will be so shocked.
Senator, we'll come back to that discussion that you just introduced, but I want to talk to Cynthia Mutere on this one. Of course, we are yet to see Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula on the same platform. Yes, that opportunity probably is yet to present itself. Yes. But with this talk of even the Court Secretary General Francis Atwoli, saying that he wants to name a spokesman for the Luhya community, and it could be either Moses Wetangula or Musalia Mudavadi. Surely there is something there.
I don't think there is anything there, unless other players would want to bring in that. I think it's the best thing, especially for the region. One thing that the region is sure about is that it's definitely going to not going the Jubilee way. I mean, when we had the 3 principals in CORD, I mean, the share, or let me say the stakes, were like 33% each. But when you have 4 principals now, then the region should be happy, because now that's 25% each, and the region will ideally get 50%.
Are you saying the entry of Musalia Mudavadi into the fray has done nothing to Moses Wetangula's position?
No, he welcomes him. There have been talks before, and these have not been highlighted by media. And I mean, the people of Mulembe, as has been the Mulembe nation's really characteristic, has been of unity, really. And so the coming together of the two of them is really going to be a force. We get a double portion really from the region.
Surely, we may deny that, but having 2 leaders from the same region, in this formation. We have Raila Odinga from a particular region. We have Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka from a different region. Then we have two leaders representing the same region.
No, Once again, I said, like in 2002, the NAC, it can expand. We can have the chairman of the Council of Governors coming in. We can have other people from other regions coming in. And so we are open to expansion, to get more people on. As you're saying, that this is a winning formula, to have the opposition come together and move as one. And so the more the merrier, really.
I think you must appreciate the fact that these two leaders, Mudavadi and Wetangula, are actually leaders of different parties, individual independent parties. So when they in the opposition, so when they come together, they're not coming together to compete. They're coming together each with its own identity. You're giving an example about Raila Odinga. Nyanza is predominantly, or Luo Nyanza is predominantly ODM. So you don't have another party who you'd be talking about, that what about the leader of that other party? So he comes as a leader of the predominant party in Nyanza. And Mudavadi and Wetangula do have predominant parties in Western. So I don't think there's a conflict of interest there. They're just solidifying, and it's just making the coalition stronger.
Senator, of course, when it comes to Western Kenya politics, you must have something to say about that.
Very much. I'm from Kakamega, so I don't know. And I know the biggest challenge we always face. And I'm hoping my brothers will not do that. Is when they start the Maragoli and Bungoma politics.
Yes.
That's all I'm praying for them.
But now there's a problem with this, because it was in the news yesterday, and the Court Secretary General is working on naming a single person to represent the community as its spokesman, official spokesman. What does that do to the politics of that region?
I hope he will not antagonize it.
What is wrong with that? To have a spokesman does not mean you've killed the other party. The parties will still remain intact, but you have one spokesman for the community on what the parties have agreed. I think it is okay. It just stops too many people trying to speak and causing confusion.
It is not a necessary antagonism?
I don't think so. I really don't think it's any antagonistic approach to having one person speak on behalf of the community, because then we have the two leaders, both of us rallying the community. As you know, it is the second largest community in the nation, and so really we're not going to be like fighting over one cockerel to be in the home. So
the most important thing, and we must be very realistic. Well, and you know the good thing in Western, they say, and I know my senator will always remind me, I am a woman. We don't have much to decide for them. But I just want to tell them that if he's going to give us a spokesperson, then let it be done in a proper lawyer way where everyone will feel comfortable. This is our spokesman. Let us not deny ourselves and hide ourselves in the sand. We have different dialects. We have very many things that we look at in Western Province, and we have to appreciate that. So I'm hoping when he brings out that leader, we will be able to embrace the leader without finding ourselves now going back. I am Muisoka, Muiroje.
But you must admit that whoever is named as a spokesman,
and that's why
will be elevated to some level. Surely.
Will be elevated.
It's like placing someone on a pedestal and the rest are to look up to him.
That's why also the elders must be there. I am hoping and I pray that our leader, Otwoli, will ensure the elders of Western Province are in this meeting where they are now bringing out this leader.
I think actually the sole prerogative will not lie with Atwoli. I think by the time he's naming the leader, he's naming the spokesperson that the community has generally agreed on. It is not his mandate to come up with somebody. It will be naming a person that the whole community has agreed on, and this person will basically be a spokesperson of what the community has decided. So he's not going to be the dictator, he's not going to be the leader of the community, but a spokesperson speaking out what the community has decided.
Okay. Now let's talk to about what Senator mentioned earlier when you made your first comment about the ICC. And to be honest and to be very fair to even the opposition leaders, no one was discussing ICC until Jamhuri Day, when the president came and out of nowhere decided that those were the highlights of his speech, of the Jamhuri Day speech. Remember, the president did not even talk about the health crisis that you're currently facing. He talked about the ICC from nowhere. He also talked about civil society organizations being funded by foreign countries to determine the outcome of the next elections. Now, those are the highlights that we got from the president's speech. So when the opposition leaders now are reacting to this, how are you saying, how is it that you want to say that is diversionary politics, that they are the ones who are taking us back to the ICC debate? Are they?
One, Fred, the president was very clear, and I think it is an agenda he has carried even when he was at the ICC and after ICC, that indeed Kenya at one point will leave the ICC. What I am saying to my people, don't use it as a political agenda.
But in an election year, knowing that
you have ICC, many other issues. I mean, the ICC
was a big issue in the last election.
Yes,
Fred.
Why introduce that right now? Is it necessary?
What
if you
has just done,
if you are very strategic,
what Senator has just done is told her president, which I am in support of, not to whip the country's emotions using ICC.
Yes.
That is exactly what you're saying.
Don't use it.
And I agree with that, because in the last general election, ICC was used as a whipping tool to whip two tribes or two segments of the Kenyan society, to rally them against voting for the opposition because one or two of our own were being victimized. And for me, I clearly see that the president is in a panic mode. He's seeing the opposition coming together and is realizing and trying to take us back 5 years ago to try to whip emotions by bringing ICC again, so that he can rally the two major segments that support the Jubilee Party into supporting or into waking up and galvanizing themselves around the ICC issue and feeling threatened as a people. And therefore, because obviously even those two segments of the society have clearly seen that Jubilee has taken the country many years back through all these corrupt deals. So he's wondering exactly how does he whip people again into coming to vote for them. And he knows that the only way he could probably do it is go the ICC way.
Now, at least one journalist agrees with you, and that's a cartoonist on the Standard, page 14 of the Standard, seeming to show like the president appears to have run out of ideas, and is now going back and recycling.
Remember, this is the day when we are celebrating our independence.
Page 14
so we expected the president to highlight key issues that are affecting the status of the country today. But instead, he chooses to talk about the foreign funding and he chooses to talk about the ICC. Are those two the most important things affecting Kenya today?
Well, surely on the 53rd anniversary of independence, really the president really lost that opportunity, because this is the last time that he's speaking on Jamhuri Day before the next election, and he should have used that opportunity to highlight some of the manifestos the Jubilee administration came into power saying that they were going to do. So this was an opportunity for him to highlight what have they done. I think in the manifesto they have the 4 Umoja, Usawa, Uchumi, I don't know what the other one is. But what he does then is now start highlighting something that was in the last election, the ICC issue. Right now, he's talking about now foreign donors supporting NGOs running around the country and saying that this is not going to be tolerated. I think one thing that the Jubilee manifesto said, that they were going to support the civil society organizations, and that was really highlighted in their manifesto. But now what is coming out clearly, that one thing that they say and one thing that they do are two different things, really.
Senator, I think I'll put you on the spot.
Put me on the spot on this one, and I will say you and I mean really, the president talking about ICC did not say continue using the word ICC. So if you continue perpetuating it and you want to say, the president gave his speech, it was not just the ICC speech. He said reasons why Kenya has to leave. He gave examples of other countries that are leaving, and at the same time continued and gave in also what Jubilee has done. In the same speech, he ended the speech clearly on a note of civil society. He did not say it is wrong for civil society to get money, and I remember he even said, if you really want to help us, give the IEBC the opportunity, give them the money, and they will do the right thing. They will do voter education. IBC cannot do alone. They will still use civil society. So for me, I think where he was coming in is this money that you're giving, and we here have a new commission that is coming in. empower this commission, let them have the money, and they will give the civil society, just the way they have been doing anyway, for many years. IEBC receives money for voter education, they will still give for civic education.
Yes. I think the senator has come from a background of civil society.
Of course,
really
yes.
coming into even the Senate. She came in through the APK, and we know that the luminary of APK has been Kariatu Murungi, who was a civil society person. Really, civil society is not about just voting. As the president highlighted, that is just the Kenyans know who they want to vote. The Kenyans know how they're going to vote. And civil society is about civic education, and it's in the Constitution.
Let them do the civic education.
Is the president changing his strategy, his campaign re-election strategy?
Why?
Because initially he was just talking about what the Jubilee Party has done, what the Jubilee administration has done. We've done this last mile. Then come the very last Jamhuri Day before the next elections, and he starts talking about ICC. Surely, was the ICC
He's whipping emotions.
Is it wrong to talk about it? Was it wrong to talk about it?
No, you're the one who just told us. It has been an issue. No.
And that's why we said we want to leave. But I have said from both sides, and I want to repeat, because I don't like I like being me also. I have said, as a country, let us not use, and I want to repeat, the ICC, both sides, as an issue to these elections. Let us not go that route. And I'll repeat, because I like being myself also. And that's why I started on that note. I said
last question on this one to
for both leaders,
both
leaders, to say we want to now whip our country back. We have passed on that. Both sides look for issues and tell Kenyans why you're winning, why you're losing. That is up to Kenyans now to decide.
Final question, Senator. Do you agree with the president that we should be withdrawing from the ICC?
Yes, I agreed long ago on that.
Okay.
Yes. So what Senator is really saying is that opposition should be setting the agenda, because when the president is giving his speech, he really is setting the agenda really for the country, and then the opposition can interrogate some of the things that he's saying. If then she's saying that this shouldn't be part of the agenda, then they're not sitting and they're not speaking as one. They purportedly say that Pamoja Tuko and we're moving as one, but we're starting to see the cracks when you want to become an individual.
I'm sorry, Sylvia, I am Beatrice Elachi. At one point, I look at my country as me. Even you won't tell me if you will rove with your political party and forget you have also your own. For all the years, I have done that. So it's not just today.
So sometimes
as a human Kenyan, that you must stand for Kenya.
Can I say this? That it is clear the person who's introducing ICC to this electoral process is not the opposition. It is the president himself, for obvious reasons, that is trying to whip the emotions of the two segments of this society to garner their support and votes, because he's in a panic mode.
Okay.
There's no panic mode, Rosa. Panic mode is in the opposition.
Once again, lost opportunity. Other things should have been highlighted.
There's no lost opportunity, because
really, you should have been highlighting what you have done and some of the things that are really an issue right now. I think we're going to be speaking about the doctors' strike, corruption,
which is under devolution,
and then you don't mention it.
Ladies, let's stay with Jubilee, and of course, yesterday they began the process of electing their interim officials. And what we saw, different styles, different things happened at different places. In Embu there were disagreements. In Nakuru it was chaotic, because even the party members were demanding that the seats be shared between the original TNA and URP. Rosa, as the top gun in the Jubilee administration, what's happening really? Because we understand that all parties are dissolved and merged into one. Why are people still talking about TNA and URP?
Well, it's healthy. Fred,
it is healthy.
Very healthy.
Then that means the merger was not successful.
Listen, what's happening?
It means they've come to reality. Indeed, we have a merger, so they will sort themselves out and they will bring the team. It's very healthy for a political party. There is no, between huge political parties, if you don't see some of those comedies
Fred,
and games,
what happened in
then
Nakuru
it's not a party.
Is a case of all these parties that were forced to dissolve and join Jubilee being duped into thinking that Jubilee was a party, one unilateral party, with all the others having been swallowed. They are being told, wake up and smell the coffee. Yes. It is not true that this was one party. It is true that Jubilee Party belongs to TNA and belongs to URP, and all these others that dissolved were only taking them for a walk.
Yes.
Because when they get up and say, we want the slope to be shared between between URP and TNA, it means that they do not recognize all the other 12 or so parties that dissolved to help form Jubilee.
Is this something that Jubilee should ignore, that there's people are still aligning themselves to TNA?
There is going to be a rebellion within Jubilee.
Exactly. Strongholds will not be strongholds. As we're coming into this, there is a wave across the world. In Africa, we are seeing it. The people are rising. When the president wants to pin it on civil society, that you're going around the country doing the wrong thing, the people are the ones that are just fed up. You're not going to tell us what we're going to do. The people are aware, and that's one thing that civil society has been doing, educating the people to bring in public participation, citizens participation. They want to be a part of the process. They want to be part of the political process. It starts in political parties. They want to have a say in how things are run in the country, and if they're going to be forced in a dictatorial manner, they're going to rebel. They're going to rebel.
And, Senator, your response to that is rather interesting and curious, that it's okay that people within Jubilee Party should still be competing on lines of TNA and URP within the party.
What's wrong with that?
So what happens to
what you want to tell me now, that we hide ourselves and lie, that within anyone who has that strong feeling that I used to be a URP person and up to date has not realized we have moved. Of course you'll come with that, but in the end you'll be told this is what is happening. These are the rules. But you follow, or you are aware that that kind of thing will replicate in other areas of the country as well. Well, I think if Muranga has done its election, then I salute them. Probably Muranga was peaceful. In Nairobi, we are going to do today. I think the big cities, Nairobi, Muranga, Nakuru, where the strongholds are. If we finish today, then be it. And we are not going to fight. Nairobi chapter, you're doing your, you're electing your officials today. And you can't bring everyone. It will be as peaceful as you have never seen. It is just in Nakuru where I know, and everyone knows, the heat is heat, and everyone would wish to be. First of all, these are seats not politicians who are going to buy are taking. These are seats that have been taken by a person who is not going to buy. Now, for them to even fight, it shows, first of all, those who nominated them or who felt my person has to be there is the one fighting. But at the same time, they have an opportunity to go back and relook at what they have. If they've gone beyond the rules that we give them, there's also a disciplinary that will happen. So it's up to Nakuru to decide whether in the era of now, you still have to fight for you to get that slot. And for me, coming from the party side, the discipline is there.
Early warning signs of violence coming from Jubilee.
And there's not, well, if Sylvia is praying for early warnings and violence,
that needs to be tamed as
violence has been all over. You cannot say today in
address the underlying issue. Strengthen your disciplinary committee. Do something about it.
Yeah, Rosa?
They finished yesterday. You need to give that party an opportunity. They will show you how we discipline and we do everything.
Can I just tell Senator this? The underlying issue here, the key underlying issue here is that there, in the real sense of the word, there was no merger. Individual parties have remained individual parties. And for Senator to say that Nairobi will be peaceful, yes, the elections in Nairobi will be peaceful because Nairobi was basically a TNA zone. But where you have more than one party having some strength, there is going to be that issue of this party actually belongs to TNA and URP and you people take a back seat. So what is going to come out is this JP or Jubilee party is really non-existent, because we are going to have small parties rebelling, because as they smell this coffee, they will realize that they really have no say in this Jubilee party. Jubilee party actually belongs to TNA and URP, and there's going to be rebellion within JP as the coalition, NASA, comes together. That is where we are heading.
Maybe go back to one of your strongholds in Muranga and see what made it peaceful to replicate.
Maybe it will be different, because I am looking at Rosa and I'm smiling as we finish ours. I am awaiting to see.
To see what, my
dear? To see your NASA, and if you will not have violence, I will salute you, Rosa.
Violence where, you know...
Incidentally, speaking of violence,
Dialogue.
and this is something that has been of concern, because we're now seeing like we're devolving the violence.
Yeah.
Yes, initially it was at national level because of the presidency, but now we're seeing that everyone wants to fight physically. On Jamhuri Day, it became a battleground in all counties.
Yes.
Mombasa, we saw that.
Yeah.
We saw that in Kirinyaga, even at level of a parliamentary level. We saw that where else? I think in Meru.
In Meru?
Yeah, where the senator and the governor don't see eye to eye. Now, isn't that a cause for concern as well? Because now we're no longer fighting at the national level. We've devolved.
It is a cause for concern. And sitting on this table,
we saw it.
Sitting around this table previously, I remember Beatrice, and I think we're with the Deputy Speaker also. They categorically say that violence is ODM and ODM is violence. And what I said is, try having an election and you will see. So what you see today, or what you saw yesterday, just hold it. What you saw yesterday, in them attempting to have those mini elections, was just nothing but violence.
And Senator,
violence in
what happened yesterday? What happened yesterday in Nakuru? What happened?
Violence in how many
Violence is violence.
Either way,
whether it's in
what happened in Nakuru?
Among all the 47, one.
Because you're saying even Jubilee Party, we are strong here in Nairobi.
Yes.
Because the national outlook is of one party. But when you devolve it down, you're now talking about regions where URP has strength
where you have
versus
different
TNA.
parties.
Then they start competing.
We're
at that
not
level.
going to shove the agenda down the throats of
even
people.
Kajiado yesterday they finished.
The people
I
will
think the only
rebel.
place where it was is Nakuru. And I want to salute the other counties that did their elections peacefully. And I'm hoping those going forward, remaining, the 5 or 7 of them, will be peaceful.
Okay.
In Nakuru, and I'm repeating, in Nakuru, they will have their own disciplinary. They know the constitution of Jubilee, what it says, and they will have to go through that constitution again. And they'll have to see the penalties. I think penalties are there, they will pay. And for me, I have no problem. The problem that we need to ask ourselves is going forward, as we go to the election, forget about now our parties where we have all this. Are we going to embrace ourselves as politicians within that competition without violence, without using young people who will come and perpetrate and move to the other competitors' rally and ensure you create violence? That should be our worry, not just us as women, but everyone in the country. And the biggest, toughest wars or bruising politics will be on the MCA seat and the governor seat. Those two seats.
So we expect to see more violence at that level?
At that level,
there'll be more violence
not contain, because you find one MCA has 30 competitors. Different. Now, by the time we even narrow down to the nominations, I think it will be very bruising. And women there are going to be hurt.
Okay. On that note, to take a short break. When we return, we'll discuss the doctor's strike briefly, because we do understand the talks have failed. The president yet said nothing about it, and he totally ignored it when he made his Jamhuri Day speech. He will be heading to Western Kenya starting tomorrow. We'll be discussing that and a lot more when Power Breakfast continues.